notebook paper, scratch paper, whatever floats your boat. You may notice that we have an interloper with us today. Her name is Jennifer Fesky. She comes to us from River Falls.
Woo!
Harvard of Northwestern Wisconsin. And she will be here observing me on and off for the next couple weeks. She's a fashion scout, and she's heard that I wear some really smart outfits. So she's kind of here to get a sense of what I look like and how people respond to what I look like. So, anything else you'd like to say?
I think you pretty much covered it.
Yep. In your downtime when you're not a fashion scout, what type of classes do you take?
English classes. Lots of English classes.
Yeah. To become a
English teacher.
Yep.
So I'm education. I'm an English education teacher. Major.
minor
So-
fashion scout major.
Yeah,
Yeah.
minor.
Mhm. Yep. So she'll be here on and off. Any questions for Ms. Fesky?
Yes.
What is your take on the Oxford comma?
I'll have to get back to you on that one.
Okay.
I'll have that in mind for next time.
What would Annette Clem say?
I don't know. She likes too many things.
Alrighty. So up here we have a list of terms that we're going to need to become relatively familiar with in order to become titans of film criticism. Much like when we started our discussion of books and literature and all that sort of stuff, we started by learning metaphor, simile, tone, connotation, denotation, figurative language, all that sort of stuff, right? And then we were able to look for that stuff in the things that we read in order to create some meaning and all that sort of jam. Those things don't go away. Things like metaphor, simile, figurative language, close reading, those still apply. But now on top of it, we add these things. These are tools that filmmakers have at their disposal to help create and curate movies and film. Now, much like somebody explained to me the difference between books and literature. Something is a book, another thing is literature. What's the difference between the two?
Would it be? I feel like literature is just more of like an articulate way of saying it. Book is just a series of words, where literature is like art.
Yeah, and so the difference, it was a good job. Generally, the difference is books can be anything with words in them and tell a story. It can be entertainment, can be comedy, can be tragedy, can be violent, whatever. The difference between literature and a book is that literature is a book that's carefully constructed, where every word matters, every sentence matters, everything that happens matters. Whereas in a book, things can just happen just for entertainment purposes. Does that make a book bad or worse than literature? No. It's just that, literature rewards multiple readings. That also doesn't mean that literature has to be like fancy pants, classic novel stuff. Harry Potter can be literature, right? Does Harry Potter reward multiple readings? I don't know. I haven't read it, but lots of people say it does. That's similar to the difference between movie and film. So if literature is a book that rewards multiple meanings and everything is carefully constructed, how is film different than a movie?
Artfully constructed.
Yes, a film is an artfully constructed movie. So in a film, okay, capital F, everything matters. And it's going to reward multiple viewings, and you're going to notice visual metaphors and the things people say and the way in which they're presented and what they wear. It all is working together to drive home the director's intent. A movie can still be well constructed and well done, but it's not necessarily as carefully curated as a film. And we'll see the difference in that in a little bit. So we need to be able to talk about this stuff to notice how these visual filmmakers are constructing their meaning. So first thing you need to know, scene. Scene is all right, write this down. Scene is a collection of clips that tells a coherent part of a story. So a scene is a collection of clips that tells a coherent part of the story. A clip is defined as a, I believe, like 3-ish second snippet that engages the viewer. So like if I'm filming Getchell right now, I just like take a video of him and then a video of him and then a video of him. I've taken 3 clips of Getchell. Now let's say I take a clip of Getchell writing, I take a clip of Getchell sitting down in class. I take a clip of Getchell getting his stuff out for class. I take a clip of Getchell raising his hand and writing something down. I take a clip of Getchell going to the bathroom. That'd be weird. Asking to go to the bathroom. Then I take a clip of Getchell putting his stuff together and leaving. Now, if I put all those clips together, I have created a scene. I've told a coherent part of a story. In this case, what story have I told?
School day.
A class period. Yeah, right? Okay, so a scene collection of clips that tells a coherent part of a story. Everything down here, for the most part, is going to be different examples of clips. And so you arrange clips in a meaningful way to help make the person, your viewer, feel the things that you want to feel. Flashback and flash forward, 2 sides of the same coin. Flashback is going back in time. Flash forward is jumping forward in time. What's interesting about that in film is how people play around with those. So an example, kind of like a cheesy example of flashback, does anybody ever watch Saved by the Bell?
I've seen.
Any 90s television?
Yeah.
No. Okay, so when they have a flashback, let's pretend like this is my TV screen, and that classic 90s thing, what do you say?
Like a dreamy thing, like.
Yeah. There'll be a visual like, and then it'll be like a soft edge. Like it'll be like kind of like a faded color out here, and then the screen will kind of get a little blurrier, and that's a visual cue to let the viewer know that this is a back in time type thing. Does that make sense? So that's an example of a director using a visual cue to let the audience know that a flashback's coming. In a TV show like Family Guy, they give you a verbal cue. They'll say something like, "Oh yeah, that's just like the time that Caleb punched Nelson in the face," and then it'll cut to Caleb punching Nelson in the face. And so it's not the but it's still easy for the viewer to know that this is a flashback because it comes right on the heels of what they just said. Does that make sense? So you have visual cues for flashbacks, you have verbal cues for flashbacks. Some movies are intentionally trying to disorient the viewer, and they will flash back and flash forward, and you will have no idea what's going on for a little while until you become grounded in it. There's a movie called Looper back in the day. It was kind of like all about time travel. Not even back in the day. It was only like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, and you go back with like a gun or something, and you shoot this version of himself or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and so it's all about like noticing what people are wearing and how old they look. This current season of True Detective was all about flashbacks and flash forwards, and there were events happening in 4 significantly different timelines. It was like the guy when he was in his 20s, when he was in his 30s, when he was in his mid-30s, and when he was an old man. The old man was the present. And he would constantly, his whole thing was that he was losing his mind as an old man. His memory was failing him. And so he was constantly like remembering things, and that was morphing into other things and jumping back. And you didn't know if you could trust what was happening on screen because he was a very unreliable narrator. So that's a film version of using flashback that has a significant effect on both storytelling and character development. Does that make sense? There's also a movie called Memento that it's a really crazy thing. So beginning end. Now most movies or stories, if they start here near the end, where do they jump to?
Back to the beginning.
But way back to the beginning, right? And then we come up to this moment and then finish the deal, right? Now Memento was really interesting and crazy disorienting because it started right here. And then it jumped back to here, brought us forward, jump back here, jump back here, jump back here, jump back here. And so like as the first 30 minutes, like what the heck is going on? However, if you paid attention, you were rewarded with meaning and understanding. So there's a bunch of different ways to utilize flashback and flash forward as narrative devices. You can cue it with a visual cue, you can cue it with an auditory cue, or you can just throw it in there as long as it's serving a purpose. Can anybody else speak of a movie or TV show that has played around with flashback and flash forward?
You mentioned Game of Thrones.
I have not. Tell me about it.
There's multiple times when they use it. Mostly it's like kind of exposition more than anything.
So kind of like the Family Guy. They're talking about it, and then it goes back and shows you what happened.
Well, not in that way. I mean, it's more like revealing things. Like Bran. I don't know if anybody here watches it, but I don't know. I can't really say much without spoiling it. Anybody care?
No, I don't care really.
Anybody care?
No.
No?
Speak
All
for
right.
the mess.
So like there's a huge mystery about the true parentage of this one character, and Bran, who's another character, like has the ability to like see back in time, and he goes back in time and discovers who this character's real parents were, which is like a pivotal moment in the story. So,
And there's an awesome sword fight with a guy that has two swords,
yeah,
Sir Arthur Dane,
so,
right? Yeah, and that's a lot of fun. Other things that have flashback or flash forward in an interesting way.
I mean, it's necessarily flashback, flash forward. Like Inception.
Oh
kind
yeah.
of like with the dream kind of like paradox.
Uh-huh.
I feel like that's more of like the no cue kind of thing because as a viewer, at least I had to watch it a few times. I think everyone
Oh yeah.
has to watch it a few times to actually understand what's.
To understand like what reality
Yeah.
you're in. Are you in a dream? Is this real? Whose dream is it? Dream within a dream? 100%. Like the Russian nesting doll.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
Any others before we move on? Just throw them out there so people can have a frame of reference. Otherwise, I think we're all pretty well versed on understanding what flashback and flash forward is, right? Okay. Again, used for comedy, used for exposition. My favorite flashbacks are in a show like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, where they flash back to a character's earlier life, and the character is just like dressed up in different hair and different clothes. But it's still like the old man. So he's like pretending to be in middle school, even though he's a 40. He just has like a mullet wig on and like a middle schooler Letterman's jacket or something. I always find those hilarious. All right. So lots of stuff you can do there. A montage. A montage. Exactly. A montage is a collection of clips that is a collection of clips that is meant to develop or meant to zoom through time. Those of you that just walked in, you're going to want to be taking notes on these things that we are talking about today, because this kind of becomes your language for film studies class.
like self-made clip.
Don't worry about this. Just focus on the list of things.
Okay.
So montage is a collection of clips, moves the story forward, cruises through time, makes the audience feel something that the director wants them to feel. So an example would be Rocky, a training montage, right? Bunch of clips set to music, Eye of the Tiger. Now, the amount of time that passes during that montage, it's months. It happens in like a couple minutes, right? But it's months. And as the viewer, would you like another hour tacked on to Rocky where he's just punching a slab of meat and downing raw eggs?
No.
If you're a strange bird, then yes. Most people aren't necessarily going to want that. So you set it to music. You have a bunch of punchy clips next to each other. It kind of jazzes up something that's boring, and it lets the viewer know what's happening. A significant amount of training, right? Other times you see montages, like if somebody's about to die, and the whole life flash before your eyes thing. And so someone's about to die on screen, and then it's a montage and it's a flashback, right? Because there'll just be a bunch of clips of what's a hip happening in their life. So montages are very versatile as a storytelling device to convey what's happening and just kind of like speed up time a little bit. here is an example of a montage from one of the greatest movies of the mid-90s. Also one of the greatest songs of the mid-90s. Oh, put this down.
Yeah, that might help a little bit.
Yeah. All right.
Oh.
Look at those outfits. I mean, so instead of showing every match, we just get some highlights from each. You get this peppy tune in the background, and you get a sense of passage of time and what's happening in this tournament. You got the evil Cobra Kai dojo and Daniel-san. Yeah, Keller's getting it. God, he looks tough. Oh, man. Oh, to the face. Oh, good job. All right. And it goes on. Now,
I think that's the whole thing.
Karate Kid, film or movie?
That's it. Phil.
Film. Okay. Now, film does what as opposed to a movie?
Film is artfully crafted. Every word means something.
Everything means something, rewards multiple viewings. Everything's working together in order to drive forward the director's ideas. Okay, couple of things going on here that you may not have noticed. First of all, what is Daniel-san's outfit color?
Black.
Wait.
White. Cobra Kai's wearing black. Now, why is that?
Good and evil.
Okay, the visual cue, good guy, visual cue, bad guy. This music too, and we're not going to talk about this much today, but I'd like to make this point now. Music in the visual medium is so incredibly important and not insignificant at all. When I was watching Game of Thrones on Sunday,
The piano music.
well, you had the piano music, and when the bad guy is like about to like walk in there and kill the good guy, you can hear that piano music getting louder and darker and louder and darker. And it's like, as a viewer, you don't notice it in that moment, but if you pay attention to it, you're like, oh, something bad is going to happen. Think about Jaws, right? Dun-dun, dun-dun, dun-dun. Like, that's the audio cue. So I'm like, Amber, I don't think this is going to work out well for our, Amber's my wife's name, for our friends from Winterfell. And then the piano goes silent. There's nothing. And you're like, oh, no, that is not a good thing at all. But then you kind of hear, like, in the background, like a nice, like, dun, 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 like a positive note. And then
it was the main theme.
Yep. And then kind of some of that nasty stuff comes along, but you can still hear that positive note faintly in the background. And then it comes stronger and stronger and stronger. I'm like, Amber, the music's changing, Amber. We're in good shape here. And you know, sure enough, happy things happen. Okay. Here, this song, it's poppy. It's ridiculous, right? You're the best around. No one's ever going to keep you down. Now, but you think about that chorus. Does that make sense here?
Yes, because he's kicking butt.
He's kicking butt. Yeah, he's trying to be the best. This is a tournament where people are trying to be the best around. Also, look at Daniel. That's this guy. Look at his face during the first verse of words and pay attention to what's in that verse. So what is that verse talking about? Does that match up to what's going on with Daniel? Can you tell who the referee is?
I'm selling.
It just says referee.
Oh,
All right. All right. All right, what's that verse about? Trying, right? You're trying to be the best. What else? A man's got to learn to take it. Okay, so it's trying, it's learning. Is it you are the best? Is it confidence? No.
He's nervous.
He's nervous. And it's all about learning to do something. Does he look like a man who's super confident right now? No. You know, so you got this nice match between like literally what's going on in the verse with what's going on with our actor. You got an upbeat song. Does that make sense for what's happening here? It's a karate tournament.
Yes, but no.
Are you gonna do a slow piano solo?
He's overpriced kicking butt too. He's getting nervous.
Yeah. That's because he's the best too. Yeah. So you have this constant. You're the best. Because these two are gonna meet in the championship where we figure out who the best is. But they are both the best of their respective dojo. I. Okay.
Wait, so if that's a film, what's a movie? What's the definition of that?
We'll see. You'll see a movie later.
Oh, okay.
I mean, this is not a black and white thing, film
Yeah.
versus movie.
Yeah, but
So, and many people can probably say that, Karate Kid is just poppy. It's well put together, but it doesn't transcend movie into film. And that's not a discussion we're going to get too bogged down in. I just want you, when I tell you film movie, Keller, when I tell you film movie, I just want you to think about things working together. Everything working together, that's what we're looking for when we talk about film.
So Hotel Transylvania 3.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
Film.
Yeah. Huge film. Huge film. All right. Periodically throughout the next couple of days, I'm going to ask you to take out your cameras. Shawshank movie. Yeah.
Movie.
Lowest of the low. I'm going to ask you to take out your cameras. When I ask you to take out your camera, you can just take out your phone on the camera function, or you can take your right hand and left hand and go like this. It's entirely up to you. I like doing this, but technological people like using their phones, whatever. Now, mise en scene. Take out your camera, hold it close to your face, and just kind of look around the classroom like this. Mise en scene is everything that you see in the scene. So it's what's in here. Now, mise en scene gives you, the viewer, a sense of place. Based on looking through your camera, what place are you in?
Classroom.
You're in a classroom. How can you tell you're in a classroom?
We got chairs.
You got chairs. What else do you have?
Table.
Table, chair. Person standing up here, teacher. Lanyard.
Smart board.
Books in the back. Smart board up here. Okay, so everything that's in here is letting you know that you are in a classroom. Pencil sharpener, stapler, video games.
Sleeping.
Okay, yeah, yeah, the hallmarks of a traditional classroom. And so mise en scene, when done well, is not really noticeable. When you're watching something, you don't really say to yourself, "Man, that's really good mise en scene. I can really tell that I'm in a police department right now." It's bad mise en scene that's usually more noticeable. You can think of like, if I were to try to let you know that this was a police office or this was a police station, what would I do in here to make this look like a police station?
Police.
Yeah.
Get some-
We're going to put police on the board.
Have a table of coffee and donuts.
Okay, got a table of coffee and donuts. Maybe set up a printer. Get some people wearing some uniforms.
Some print.
Now, could I do a good job transforming this into a police station?
Gunshots.
Gunshots? What kind of police station are you used to? Detroit. All right. Now, it would be hard to turn this into a good police station. Yeah, it would a significant investment time. More often than not, if I tried to make this look like a police station, it would look bad. Okay, so that's bad mise en scene. There's no sense of place. Good mise en scene, they're in a police station. It's believable that they're in a police station. So you as a viewer engage in something called willful or unconscious suspension of disbelief. So that means that you're watching something and you're not constantly saying, "Oh, that doesn't make sense. That's no good." it's called unconscious suspension of disbelief, because when you go watch something, very rarely do you sit down and go, yeah, okay, now I'm getting ready to watch the Avengers. No, you go there, you go to the movie, and then it just kind of overwhelms you. Because of the mise-en-scene, you're like, oh yes, I am in New York. I am in outer space. I am in Thanos' spaceship. Okay? And I don't go to myself, Thanos wouldn't have a didgeridoo. Do you see a didgeridoo in Thanos' spaceship? No, just spoiler alert. Yeah, it's a very important narratively as well, so you got to watch out. Good mise-en-scene can also include visual metaphors. Okay, so let's pretend for a moment like I'm in a movie. I'm a character in a movie, and this right here is a bust of my late father, who died in a farming accident back in the day. Now, I was a kid who always ran hot. And so I was constantly getting into fights. My father was constantly advocating for me to cool it and to learn to turn the other cheek and to seek not confrontation, but collaboration. Okay, now imagine for a moment then that this bust of my father is in this scene wherein Caleb is trying to argue with me about something. He's really trying to get me going. And then, I'm a guy, just got out of prison, down on my luck. If I do something bad, I can end up right back in the slammer. And I got this nice farm knife in my pocket, because farmers have farm knives.
Who look at farmer?
Knife farmer. I'm a knife farmer. Real thing. Okay, so Caleb is getting at me. He's like, your knives suck, Lindenberg. You're the worst. And I'm like, oh, I love my knives, and I hate you so much right now. And there's this moment where I grip my knife, and as the viewer, you're like, man, is he going to do it or not? Okay.
Look back the father.
Got dad's bust over there. Look at it. Nope. Put my recent knife harvest away. And I say, Caleb, you're entitled to that opinion, and we're done. Okay, so that would be mise-en-scene as playing the role of a visual metaphor in that case. It makes sense thematically.
Farmer owns a bus.
All sorts of farmers. When in farm tradition, Mr. Shader, when the patriarch of the farm dies, they make a bust of his face to put on the mantle to...
Is that standard?
Yes.
Farmer John.
Every farm ever. That's happened. At least every farm that I've been a part of. All right. What'd you say? Correct. Okay. So now we get back to a discussion of film and movie. Now, what I just described to you, was that corny?
No.
Yep. Yes, it was. Here's this random bust on a table that just happens to be there in this climactic moment, and I look back to it, and then that influences my decision. That's the director smacking you across the face with it and not trusting the viewer to pay attention to what's going on. That would not be great filmmaking in most cases. In better cases, this is subtly somewhere, and I don't look back on it. I make the decision, but maybe why it's like, oh, hey, yeah, I noticed his dad's picture was back there. So that, yeah, there was maybe a little foreshadowing at that moment that he was not going to stab Caleb in the face with his recent knife harvest. Does that make sense? And so there's always this balance that we're trying to strike. Mise-en-scene. Got it? Okay. Camera angle. If you're standing next to somebody, one person stand up and one person sit down. Just got one person. If you're sitting next to someone, one person stand up, the other person stay seated. Caleb, why don't you go stand next to Dominic, just so things going on here. All right, person who's standing up, take out your camera and look down at the person who's sitting down. This is called high camera angle. The camera is positioned high and it's looking down. Now, as you're looking at this person, what sort of ideas or feelings are being projected upon what's in your screen? He's a little person. Yes. Little tiny baby person. Okay. So when you use a high camera angle, what's on the screen looks weak, insignificant, powerless. Now, person who's sitting down, take out your camera and look up at that person. Hey, what sort of ideas are being projected here? Arrogance, strength, power. So if you have a low camera angle looking up at something, you're like, whoa, that person is coming off as powerful. If you're looking down at something, that person's coming off as weak. You can sit down right now. So that's the difference between high and low camera angle. And now, high and low camera angle can be used to help tell the story. We're going to watch a scene from a Bourne movie, a fight scene. You got two guys tussling with each other. One's got a knife eventually, and one has a pen. There's going to be multiple changes of power. Now, when somebody's winning the fight, based on what I just talked about, what sort of camera angle would be used for them? Looking up to project power, right? Or at the very least, you're going to be neutral. If somebody's losing the fight, how are we going to shoot them? Looking down. Now, let's see if that's what happens here. Okay, so this is Bourne movie, action movie, a lot of fun. Let's see if they use camera angle to help tell their story. Oh, yeah. Show him that, Damon.
Corny.
Got worked. We go.
Why isn't she like up just stay.
Yep.
Oh, she did it.
Now let's pause for a moment right here. What are you noticing about the Meissen scene?
Plain.
It doesn't matter in this case. No, because what matters in this scene?
The fight.
Fight.
The fight. So is it important that we have like a apartment that looks like a home?
No.
Not so much.
We don't really.
What do you notice about the music?
It's fast paced.
Why does that make sense?
Because it's my fight.
Yeah, because they're fighting. And have we noticed high camera angle, low camera angle?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? And that carries on. And when they're sizing each other up, you kind of have that neutral position. You're looking up at Matt. He's got him worked a little bit. Uh-oh. Oh, got it. Yeah. Stabbing people with big pens. That's what movies are all about.
You'd have to get them really hard.
Now that's a fun thing. And again, just before we move on, there's a fun little clip right here. What's going on with that?
That's point of view.
Point of view shot. From whose point of view?
The
The guy who's getting worked. So all of those different clips are stitched together here in the scene to tell the story of this fight. And the author uses camera angle, the director uses camera angle to help give you, the viewer, visual cues of who is in charge and what's going on in this situation. Does that make sense? All right. Last thing we're going to talk about is framing. So if we take our doodad out again. Now this time, focus on an object. Okay, so here, I have, focus on my dad. Okay, framing would be where I put him in my frame. Do I want to put my dad dead center? Do I want to put him to the right, to the left? Do I want to put my dad in the upper right-hand corner of my frame because he's not that important based on what else is going on? So framing, it's almost like you're creating a visual picture. Where do you put the different elements of your picture? What is emphasized in the mise en scene? What is not emphasized in the mise en scene? Has anyone heard of the director Wes Anderson? Throw out some Wes Anderson movies, Wyatt.
Fantastic Mr. Fox, Darjeeling Unlimited,
Moonrise Kingdom,
what was the Grand Budapest
Pest Hotel. Yep,
Isle of Dogs.
yep.
Yeah, Wyatt.
So Wes Anderson, he's produced a ton of stuff, or he's made a ton of stuff, and he has a very distinctive visual style. Where in Wes Anderson stuff, everything is always centered. How many people have seen any of those movies that Wyatt just named off? Okay, which one?
Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Mr. Fox. Yeah. So in Wes Anderson movies, when you're doing like a big screen of a place, that place will be in the center of the screen. A character will be in the center of the screen. It'll move up. The action is always in the center, and everything is like symmetrical, like nobody's business. So that's how he frames his scenes. He's very much creating almost little paintings with how he constructs his picture. Now, other people could frame their scenes, like if you're watching an Avengers movie with a big battle. There the things that you're paying attention to is like, where is this giant building that's going to fall? In my different clips, where is that position so that people can kind of see that coming? How do I position my two people battling? How do I frame the scene so that they are featured? There's a hilarious Saturday Night Live skit that I think hilarious. That kind of plays around with Wes Anderson framing and just kind of has some fun. So we're gonna watch that. Just notice how the different clips are framed.
Video.
In theaters this Halloween.
Okay, no, center, right?
Comes a new vision of horror like you've never seen before.
Yep.
From the twisted mind.
Now that's framing too. And what is emphasized in this frame?
Knife.
Yeah, the knife starts off,
The twisted mind.
and then what sound do you hear?
Of Wes Anderson. It's the midnight coterie of sinister intruders, starring Owen Wilson as a man in danger.
Wow, what the heck? There's a bunch of crazy people standing in our yard. Hey, hon, I think we're about to get murdered.
And his terrified wife, Gwyneth Paltrow.
You don't say.
Yeah, you got everything focused kind of like on the center. Wes Anderson also has this very distinctive color palette. Again, that contributes.
Like yellow.
Yeah, a very distinctive visual style.
In the face of unspeakable evil.
Yeah, look at them all. There's a guy with a meat cleaver and a record player. One's carrying a falcon. They're twins in matching tracksuits. Hey, look at that. Why, that's Danny Glover.
Hello. A tale of handmade horror.
Hey, they sent us some kind of communique.
Dear homeowner,
And everything's in the center.
the murderers.
Dear murderers. No, you may not. The homeowner.
The story of one determined father.
Hey, kids, come on, let's go to the panic room.
And his two precocious children.
We have to protect ourselves, or we'll die.
Quick, let's gather all our weapons. Rock hammer, Swiss Army knife, slingshot, firecracker, ship in a bottle, protractor, picture of Edith Piaf, assault rifle, Willow Black. We should have left sooner.
With Tilda Swinton as a town constable.
Hey, wow, we're saved.
Who here are the murderers? I see.
The New York Times calls it, "You Had Me at Wes Anderson." And Fangoria magazine says, "Defa." Owen Wilson, Gwyneth Paltrow, Angelica Houston, Jason Schwartzman, Adrian Brody, the stop-motion mouse, and Alec Baldwin as the narrator. The midnight coterie of sinister intruders.
So frame. Make sense? All right. For tomorrow, we're going to stop here because the other class ended at this spot too. Just on your sheet, I need you to write extreme close-up, medium shot, long shot, extreme long shot. Just write all those bad boys down. It's good. You're not going to need to write down a bunch of different notes for each of them. It's going to be pretty obvious what each thing is. But extreme close-up, medium shot. You can even put medium long shot if you want. Long shot, extreme long shot. And then we will continue our discussion of film.
Are we just doing this all class period?